Hi everyone, it's Sandy, and today I'm doing my February book haul and my February wrap-up in one video. I'm just going to jump right into my book haul, and the first book that I bought this month is Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. This is the second book in the Red Queen series. If you don't know what Red Queen is about, I do have a book review on it, so I'm going to link it down below if you want to check it out. But basically it takes place in a world where people are divided by their blood color. There are silver bloods, which are like the royals and the elites, and the red bloods, which are commoners, and it follows the main character Mare, who is a red blood but discovers that she has the powers that silver bloods have. I personally loved Red Queen, and I was really anticipating Glass Sword to come out, but I haven't had the time to read it yet, which makes me kind of sad, but hopefully I will be able to get to it soon. The second book that I bought in February is Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. This is a bind-up of all of the novellas for the Lunar Chronicles, and surprisingly, I haven't read those novellas yet. I really want to be able to read this soon because I've heard that there is a wedding scene. I have a feeling as to who's going to get married, but I'm not 100% certain, so I'm really looking forward to reading that wedding scene. And the last book that I bought in February is An Unquiet Mind by Kay Redfield Jamison. I actually bought this book for my psychology class, but I am interested in reading it because it follows a woman who is a psychologist and she suffers from bipolar disorder. I think it would be interesting to read this book because it talks about bipolar disorder from a different perspective, since this woman is a psychologist, so she has learned about bipolar disorder, and I believe she has treated people with it too. Those are all of the books that I bought in February, and now I'm going to talk about the books that I read in February. This month, Sandy did not read a lot. That was kind of weird speaking in third person, but did you see what I did there? This is probably like the worst reading month that I've had ever since I started BookTube. I read like 2-ish books. The first book that I started was Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. I picked this book up as an audiobook, and I ended up DNFing it about 50% through. This book is basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I love Beauty and the Beast, but I just found myself really bored while listening to the audiobook version. The main character really resents her family for causing her to go through everything that she's going through, and I understood that, but the main character kept saying it over and over, and I felt like she kept going back and forth between liking her family and then disliking her family, especially when it comes to her sister. I just didn't want to put myself through a few more hours of listening to this audiobook, so I decided to DNF it, and I haven't DNF'd a book in so long. It feels nice because if I wasn't enjoying the book, then I don't want to waste my time continuing it and trying to finish it and just hating myself for putting myself through that. The next book that I read is Confessions by St. Augustine, and this is actually a book that I had to read for my theology class, which is a core class. My professor only wanted us to read up to page 178, and that's a little bit over halfway through the book, so I read up to that and I didn't want to finish it. I'm not going to talk much about this book, but I do want to mention that I did read some of it. The next book that I read is Never Never Part 3 by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher. This is the third and final part to Never Never. This book is divided into 3 parts, and I really dislike that it was divided into 3 parts. I definitely feel like it kind of ruined my reading experience having to wait for each part to come out, and by the time each part came out I kind of forgot what had happened in the previous book. And with this part, while I did enjoy it, I feel like I would have enjoyed it a lot more if all 3 parts were combined into just one single book and I could have read it all the way through. This book follows a couple who have woken up one day and they have no memories of their life, including each other, and they're both going through the same experience, and it kind of follows their journey trying to figure out what happened to them, why they lost their memory, and how they're going to get it back. I found myself pretty confused when I read part 2, and I was expecting answers in part 3 since it is the last part. When the answers were revealed, it was pretty anticlimactic and I just felt so underwhelmed. It was just like, really, that's the answer as to why everything has happened? It just really wasn't satisfying. The answers just weren't what I was expecting, and that's not being said in a good way whatsoever. Aside from that, I really enjoyed the moments between Silas and Charlie. They were pretty cute throughout this whole entire part, so I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. As a whole, this whole book is probably like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And the only full book that I read this month is Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. This book follows a woman named Libby who is currently 31 years old, I believe. And when she was 7, her family was murdered. Her mom and her 2 sisters were killed, and the person charged with the murders was her older brother. And in the present day, she is approached by the Kill Club, and the people in this club are very obsessed with crimes and solving cases. They approached Libby wanting to know details about what happened the night that her family was murdered. The only Gillian Flynn book that I read previously was Gone Girl, which I really enjoyed, and I think Gillian Flynn really does shine when it comes to creating and crafting her characters, because they are definitely my favorite part of her stories. Her characters are so complex, so flawed. There's just so much more to them than what meets the eye. I don't read many thriller and mystery books, but I am pretty interested in that genre, and I don't know why I don't pick up books from that genre more often. I probably should. In this book, I really love the thriller and mystery aspect. I do have to say that I was kind of spoiled for this book, which I am pretty upset about. Basically, I watched a video where someone brought up dark places, and they said how they really hated a certain character, and I'm just like, that character probably had a major role concerning the murders, and it just... why? While I was pretty upset that I was spoiled, this book still ended up surprising me in new ways. Going into this book, I know that there was going to be a movie for this, and then after I finished it, I started searching more about this movie, and I found out that there was a trailer already, and then I found out the movie already came out, and I'm just like, what? Why haven't I heard about this movie coming out? I usually am pretty up to date with all the current book to movie adaptations, and I can't believe that I didn't know that this movie already came out. So I really need to watch that movie. I ended up giving Dark Places a 3.75 out of 5 stars. I didn't enjoy it as much as Gone Girl, but it was still a pretty good read. The last thing that I read in February is Welcome to Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Reese Brennan. This is the first novella in Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. I'm not going to give a synopsis of this novella because it is pretty spoilerish. I am very excited to continue on with the rest of the novellas because I've heard great things about the novellas, and I really love the character that it follows. I didn't give a rating to this novella because it is pretty short, and I really don't know how I should rate novellas, but I would probably give it like a 3.5, 4 stars maybe. Those are all of the books that I read in February. This is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!